on, Mr. Allen.
I'll be right back.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. Any conflicts of interest for items on the agenda? Seeing none noted. Adoption of the minutes of the LaSalle Police Services Board Committee and public meetings held October 19, 2020 be adopted as presented. Moved by Crystal Malas, second by Mr. Allen. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Presentation and delegations. We will have our Executive Assistant Tanya, may you read the bios of the three recipients for tonight's exemplary service medals. The first will be Sergeant Nozad Sinjari. Next will be Senior Constable Mark Williams. And the third, and not for any particular reason, will be Senior Constable James Nestor.
So, born in Kurdistan at the start of a revolution, Nozad was just a baby when his family was forced to. Born in Kurdistan at the start of a revolution, Nozad was just a baby when his family forced to flee. The family eventually moved to Windsor, Ontario in 1976 and has stayed in the area since. Nozad is the son of Mohammed, deceased, and Amal Sinjari. He has 3 brothers and a sister. Nozad is married to Sandra, and together they have a son who they are very proud of, 17-year-old Mateen Michael Sinjari, who continues to be a source of inspiration in their lives. In 1998, Nozad graduated from the University of Windsor with a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology. Before and during his years at the University of Windsor, Nozad was an advocate for human rights. He attended and presented to numerous conferences in North America and Europe. Recently, due to COVID, Nozad has reduced his volunteering time, but is waiting to get back at it when the pandemic settles. On November 8, 1999, Nozad Sinjari was sworn in as a police constable with the Town of LaSalle Police Service. 3 months later, he graduated from the Ontario Police College and returned to LaSalle, where he received further on-the-job training from Pete Chevalier, Daniel Fantetti, and Duncan Davies. Nozad was sent on a series of courses to continue his development as a police officer and to better serve the Town of LaSalle. From 2002 until 2012, Nozad was elected and re-elected to serve his fellow officers on the LaSalle Police Association Executive Board. He held the positions of Secretary, Treasurer, and Vice President. Highlights include representing fellow officers, developing a positive relationship with the Police Services Board through contract and pay equity negotiations, and volunteering for community events to represent both the LaSalle Police Service and the LaSalle Police Association. From 2007 to 2009, Nozad was selected to be a member of the newly formed provincially funded Joint Forces operation known as the Anti-Violence Intervention Strategy. In 2010, Nozad was tasked with becoming a coach officer, enabling him to mentor a newly sworn constable for the year. In 2011, Nozad was selected to be a member of the Elite LaSalle Police Service Criminal Investigation Division in the capacity of Detective Constable. During this time, Nozad was the designated criminal intelligence officer and the liaison to the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario. On March 17, 2013, Nozad was promoted to the rank of sergeant. During one of his early shifts, he was first on scene to a person in distress and performed CPR on that person. The person was transported to hospital with a pulse. Unfortunately, that person later died. His son called and thanked Sergeant Sinjari sincerely and heartfelt for keeping his father alive long enough for him to come and say his final goodbye. 6 of the last 8 officers to get promoted to sergeant served as constables under Sergeant Sinjari. He continues to strive to do his best to mentor his fellow officers and to serve his community.
He's muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, Sergeant Sinjari, we're not there to physically greet you and say thanks, but we're not far away in our thoughts and well wishes. So congratulations on a job well done, and looking forward to seeing you for another few years.
Thank you.
Sergeant Sanjari. Congratulations. And something to go with that. It's pretty awesome.
It does. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So you're on camera. Well, you're a public camera right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you could speak a little louder, just because it's being recorded. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Police Services Board and the Chief and Deputy Chief for this honor. Thank you very much, everybody. I'd also like to thank my family for putting up with the sacrifices of me not being present for them while I'm out doing my duties as a police officer in the town of LaSalle. And finally, I'd like to thank the people that I work with who make it so that I can go home at the end of my shift. They keep me safe, and without them, I wouldn't be anything. So I'd like to thank all those people. And I'd also like to thank the town of LaSalle, the citizens of the town of LaSalle, the community that I serve. You have made it very easy for these first 20 plus years to go by. I look forward to the next 10 or so. Thank you. Thank you.
Just so you know.
Thanks, sir. Much appreciated.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Chief, we'll do all three and then we'll break for pictures after. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark Williams.
Okay, Mark's there. Okay.
Mark comes from a family of four, his parents Noel and Margaret and his sister Lisa. He and his sister were born in Montreal before moving to Edmonton and eventually moving to Windsor. After receiving his PhD from the University of Alberta, Mark's father accepted a job at the University of Windsor, and in 1976, the Williams family arrived and purchased their first home, which they still reside in today in South Windsor. Mark's family was always one that gave to the community, led by his mother, who was referred to by the family as a professional volunteer. It was no surprise to his family that he chose to pursue paths that provided him with chances to serve the community and help those in need. In February 2000, Mark fulfilled a goal of his to become a police officer, a goal that was not easy to achieve and one that almost didn't happen. Since graduating from the University of Windsor in 1994, Mark pursued experiences that would provide him with practical working experience in line with what he felt would help in becoming a police officer. Mark became a security guard at General Motors, where he eventually attained full-time status. Not satisfied with this profession, in 1996 he became a private investigator, where he was required to use all of his thinking skills and flexibility, as he was put on the streets in an almost figure-it-out scenario each and every day at the beginning, before gaining experiences that to this day have made him someone who does not panic under pressure and who is seen as being a calm and practical thinker. In 1999, Mark felt the need to change again, as the pursuit of policing was getting further from his grasp and private investigations was no longer something he could see himself doing much longer. Mark was accepted into the University of Windsor Faculty of Education to pursue his second career choice, teaching. Married at the time, Mark was fortunate to have the support of his wife in making that difficult choice to leave work and return to school. In January 2000, while a student in the Faculty of Education, Mark applied to the LaSalle Police Service as his last chance to become a police officer. And on February 24, 2000, he was sworn in as police constable by then Chief Ian Russell. Mark attended the Ontario Police College from March until the end of May 2000, while completing his university exams on the weekends. For the month of June, Mark was able to complete his final practical teaching during the days and working in the evening and on the weekends as a police officer. Mark is very grateful and appreciative for the flexibility shown by the LaSalle Police Service at that time, as it was willing to assist him in completing his Bachelor of Education and gaining his membership with the Ontario College of Teachers a designation he has been able to attain and maintain to this day. In the 20-plus years since his hire, Mark has been involved in several capacities at the LaSalle Police Service, both within the walls of the building and outside with the community. Mark, although dedicated to policing, still has a desire to teach, and for his first 10 years in policing, he was a VIP officer, teaching grade 6 students about the law and the importance of making good decisions in life. It was an experience that he remembers fondly and has looked back on in the last few years. As a previous VIP student of his has joined the ranks within the LaSalle Police Service as an officer. Mark is thankful and very humble to have worked with many great people over the years. The job of policing is never predictable and can at times be very dangerous. In 2009, Mark attended a call with 3 other officers, Constables Agustinus, Nestor, and Mayan, which on the surface came across as a family dispute. After coming up with a game plan, the officers entered the home and headed to the area of the house, the basement, where the officers had been told their services were required. The officers had been told that a man was not letting his parents leave the home and that he was acting irrational. As the officers breached the corner to head into the basement, they were met with a flash and immense heat. A Molotov cocktail had been thrown into the stairway where they planned to descend. After the initial fire and immense heat, the officers made entry into the basement, and Mark located his partner with the assailant in the sump pump room, where he was trying to light his mother on fire, who had been doused in gasoline. The man was quickly subdued by the officers and removed from the home, where he was charged with attempt murder. The male was later determined to be mentally ill and had in fact prepared things to blow up the home and kill his family that day. Were it not for the unselfish, quick thinking of the officers that day, several lives would have been certainly lost. That incident is one that Mark looks back on often and uses it to teach others about the unexpected of each call, but also to make people and officers realize that his job is one that requires sacrifice that most don't know about and that most will never understand. In September 2009, Mark was provided an opportunity to work with the Windsor Police Service in a joint forces operation, focused on combating guns and drugs within the community. In the 10-month operation, Mark was able to write several search warrants and assist in executing numerous others, resulting in more than $1 million in drugs and cash being taken off the streets during his time in the unit. From that experience, Mark soon after became a member of the Criminal Investigation Division, where he continued to do drug work, but also had several major investigations that again had huge impacts on him and the LaSalle Police Service. In 2011, while assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division, Mark was assigned a sexual assault case that soon grew to become a large-scale multi-jurisdictional historical sexual assault, with the perpetrator being the then local priest at St. Paul's Catholic Church. Mark became intimately acquainted with several of the victims, all grown adult males in their 50s at this point, as they shared their horrific experiences from the late 60s and early 70s. Through the course of his investigation, he pursued leads across the province and the country, speaking to people from the West and the East Coast, and traveled to London, Ontario, and interviewed Bishop Barbaro at the Diocese of London about the church's handling of the complaints and personnel involved. In the end, the priest was arrested and charged with more than 20 criminal charges against 12 men. The victims were able to confront the priest at court, but did not get to witness him to be found guilty, as he died before the court case was able to conclude. Being believed and given a voice was all that some needed to give them closure. Mark gained much from this case, seeing how victims' lives can be impacted so heavily by the simplest of acts of not being believed. Mark has again shared this experience with his coworkers and encouraged them to not discount anything, but to seek the truth no matter where it leads. Mark's hardest and most satisfying experience came in 2013 with a case assigned to him while in the Criminal Investigation Division, a child abuse case involving a 6-month-old little girl who was taken to the Detroit Medical Center with injuries to her abdomen, which nearly took her life. From the start, the case was fraught with problems, as both mom and dad, along with grandma, were all lying to everyone as to what had happened, to their family, to the police, and to the Children's Aid Society, who became involved based on the circumstances. After several weeks and months of investigations, interviews, and production orders, the father was arrested and charged with aggravated assault. One of the key pieces to gaining enough evidence to convict the father came by way of the text messages obtained through the production orders that Mark wrote, gaining their cell phone records. The text showed conversations that provided the court with sufficient evidence to convict the father at trial. The victim in this case had no voice. The persons involved were all lying to Mark and everyone else. Perseverance, determination, and the pursuit of the truth kept Mark on track and resulted in the conviction of the person responsible for almost killing his daughter. This case was an example to Mark that everyone needs the police to never give up, to continue to push and investigate until the truth is found. The ones who can't speak need us to speak for them. Mark has passed this again to his coworkers to remind them why we are police officers and do what we do. After completing his assigned time with the Criminal Investigation Division, Mark has returned to uniform patrol, where he continues to take each shift, each call, not as big or small call, but as a chance to interact with the community and help the town of LaSalle continue to be one of the safest and greatest places to live. Mark is very fortunate to have a loving family that supports him at home, his wonderful wife, Belinda, and two amazing children, Evan, 18, and Maya, 15, who have been his grounding force, keeping him in balance in such an unbalanced world.
Thank you, Tanya. Congratulations, Senior Constable Mark Williams. I've been able to work with you. I guess that's a bad thing in my case, but good for you. You've always been a great guy, and you work as I would expect, with honor and integrity. No one can question that. So congratulations on your exemplary service medal. And we're not there, but if we were, we'd give you a good firm handshake, and congratulations. Thanks for your 20 years.
Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, Chief.
Well done. And with certificates to go along with a nice shiny medal.
I'm not going to take too much time. My bio, I think, took up the entire allotment of time here, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here to receive this. It means a lot. As I said, or as you heard, every day is different, and I plan on continuing to come each day to work, protect the citizens of LaSalle, and make sure that we maintain our rating of being a very safe community to live in. I'd like to thank everybody that I've worked with, my supervisors, the administration that's here with me today. Without their support and guidance, I wouldn't have achieved all that I have. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, so Jamie Nestor was born and raised in Windsor, Ontario. He graduated from the University of Windsor with an honors degree in criminology and a minor in sociology. He began his law enforcement career as a customs officer at the Windsor-Detroit Tunnel prior to being hired by the LaSalle Police Service in February of 2000 as a police constable. Jamie had married his wife Tammy in 1999 and built their first home in LaSalle, where they started their family. So joining the LaSalle Police Service and working within his own community was a goal achieved for Jamie. He and Tammy have two daughters, Haley and Avery, and a dog, Lambo, affectionately named after the founder of Jamie's favorite football team, the Green Bay Packers. Throughout his policing career, Jamie has been involved in many different aspects of the service in addition to the general patrol duties. He was the original coordinator of the service's ATV unit, assisting in its implementation and structure, and he is currently the coordinator of the LaSalle Police Marine Unit. One of his most proud career roles was being a VIP officer for 16 years, teaching the Values, Influences, and Peers program to the grade 6 students at LaSalle Public and Sandwich West Public Schools. This role made Jamie very popular with the LaSalle kids for his no-nonsense approach at teaching students their responsibilities within our community while blending that with fun events like a year-end scavenger hunt. He still crosses paths with kids in LaSalle who affectionately remember the fun they had with him in their class. During his career, Jamie also served as the LaSalle Police Community Liaison Officer. His responsibilities included media relations, school crossing guard, and safety patrol programs, in addition to school and community events and programs. Jamie was the originator of the LaSalle Police Services social media presence, having created the LaSalle Police Services Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts. Throughout his 20-year policing career, Jamie has met and formed many lasting relationships with both co-workers and members of the LaSalle community. He is very grateful for the opportunities and rewarding experiences that being a police officer for the town of LaSalle has afforded him and his family.
Got it. Congratulations, Senior Constable Jamie Nestor. Is it working? Okay. Sorry we're not there. We can't, due to COVID, obviously shake your hand and congratulate you, Jamie, but job well done and thanks, hopefully another 10 years. Who's muted? Oh, police is muted.
Still awake,
There we
so
go.
that's great. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Police Services Board for all their assistance and the chief, the deputy. Thank you guys for taking a chance on me 20 years ago, giving a young kid a chance at employment. Since then, I've been happy to be a member of the LaSalle Police Service, serving our community in the best of my abilities. I'd like to thank my coworkers. I've had a great 20 years and I expect to have a great 10 more. And finally, my family. I couldn't be here without them, without their support and their love. So thank you all.
We're just going to take a break here now, Chief, 5 minutes. Okay. Do we shut our cameras off? Okay. The host muted me. If you don't want to shut your cameras off, that's fine, but we'll just take about a 5-minute break and we'll wait for them to return. We'll just wait for Crystal and Vicky. There's Crystal. We'll wait for Vicky and give her a couple minutes. Chief and Deputy Chief, I hope you had time to take some nice pictures. Is the family there as well, John, or just the officers?
Just the officers.
Oh, okay. It's too bad. COVID celebration, that's what we have to do, right? Okay. We're going to item C1, Halton Police Board correspondence regarding International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism. Board's pleasure.
Move receipt.
Moved by Mr. Allen, support by Crystal Malash. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next item, December 2020 meeting date change and 2021 proposed LaSalle Police Service Board meeting dates. Moved by Crystal Malash, seconded by Ms. Houston. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Crime severity indexed. Police communities over 10,000 people. We placed 11th. Chief, do you want to have any comments on that?
No, I don't have too many comments other than I want to thank my staff for their efforts once again for the past year and to make us a safe community.
Thanks, Chief. I can tell you, Crystal and I, as members of council, are very proud of that. And I'm sure Vicky, Marty, and Mr. Allen, who are all members of the community, would echo those sentiments. So thank you. Council, board's pleasure.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Combs, seconded by Mr. Allen. All in favor? That carries. Okay. Item D2, the MSG OA PSB and AMO correspondence summary number 6. We've all seen those emails come in. Board's pleasure. Moved by Mr. Allen, second by Mrs. Malash. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Crime Stoppers Coordinator and Statistical Report for October 2020. Any comments? Go ahead.
So move.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was the chief. Moved by Mr. Combs, seconded by Ms. Houston. Any comments, Chief, on that?
No.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. LaSalle Police Service third quarter financial report. Chief, any comments?
Well, we're some of the line items you'll see that are a little bit significantly under budget in a specific line item, and that's because we're still waiting for our car to be produced, vehicle, $50,000, and our IT with our new partnership with Windsor is taking a little bit longer than we thought due to some COVID-related barriers.
Okay. Board's pleasure. Oh, moved by the dog. I mean, Crystal Malash. Cute to have him there, Crystal, and seconded by Mr. Allen. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. LaSalle Police Service statistics for the months of October 2019 compared to October 2020. Chief, any comments? Or Deputy?
Sorry, go ahead, Your Worship.
Oh, just wondering if there's any comments on the statistics for the month of October 2020 compared to 2019.
Well, I mean, as you can see, there is a rise, a consistent rise, month over month, year over year. A good portion of that is attributed to things such as our property checks have increased significantly as a result of our increased calls for service with respect to thefts and property-related complaints, mischiefs, things like that. So we've increased significantly in that area, as well as our directed patrols have increased significantly. And that's due to the obviously increase in traffic-related complaints from 2019 to 2020. So as you can see, our officers are responding quite well. And it just continues to be the trend. It would appear that, you know, as our population increases, our calls for service as do as well. Another notable point would be currently the opioid crisis that not only LaSalle, but other regions in the province are experiencing. And, you know, we had for example, in 2019, at this time in October, there were 3 opioid related calls for service. In 2020, I'm sorry, in 2019, total was 3. And to date, year to date, there's 35. So that's significant. And it's certainly something that, you know, causes us some alarm. There are however, some good news stories. Recently, one of our officers, as you may have read, was one of the first on the scene. The gentleman was in opioid-related crisis, and he administered naloxone, 2 doses, and was able to revive him and bring him back to life. So we're certainly proud that our officers, we were the first police service in the region to carry naloxone. The chief didn't hesitate when it became available, and in fact, we purchased naloxone. That was a cost. Now it's offered free of charge. So those are certainly some areas that cause us some concern, and it doesn't seem like that's going to subside anytime soon. Happy to take any questions.
Board? Marty, if I can ask, I believe last meeting we had, you asked the deputy chief, great stats now on the total occurrences reported, the first page, page 40. You have a comparison for 19. Do you see in the future where we could have the page 42 have a comparison for the prior year?
Yes, we certainly, that's normally either the December or January one where we provide that a year over year.
Okay, so it won't be quarterly or monthly, it'll just be the year over year.
No, I mean, we can certainly provide that, Your Worship, if that's what the board's wishes are. However you want the stats reported, but this is consistently how we've done them. And then, of course, at the end of the year, there's an overview from year to year.
Okay. Mr. Combs, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but did you, I know you asked about this, did you want to see it quarterly or monthly, or?
Well, I was kind of expecting the the chief to come back with a recommendation. If that could be changed to either quarterly or monthly, that would be fantastic. But I would leave that up to the chief and the deputy chief to decide what's appropriate. I think we should have that. I know that's what we've been doing for many years, and maybe it's time to change to give us a better comparison, please.
Okay, so we'll leave that up to the chief and deputy chief. Any other questions from board members? I think I have more of a comment, Deputy Chief. I did hear about that case where one of our officers did revive that person with the naloxone, and that's great news. Terrible news to hear. We had 3 2019 cases regarding opioid. We have 35 thus far. Let's hope not just LaSalle, but our country, North America, gets over this crisis, not COVID, this opioid crisis. So thank you. So on that, board's pleasure. Moved by Crystal Milan, second by Dan Allen. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Financial statement for the periods ending September 30th, 2020 and October 31st, 2020.
So move.
Moved by Councillor Combs, Board Member Combs and Mr. Allen. Vicky, do you have a question? So you just support? Okay, all in favor? There we go. Thank you. Financial statements for October 2020 for the LaSalle Police Services Board. Pretty simple. Nothing we're not spending any money. We're not going anywhere, so we'll be under budget. Board's pleasure. Mr. Allen and Mrs. Malash, all in favor? That carries. Thank you. Any questions or statements by board members?
Not for me.
Next meeting, December 14th. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Stay well and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a
Okay.
good one.
Night, everybody.
Good night.